Welcome to the channel. Shocking photo of the world.
Steve Jobs drove only Mercedes-Benz SL55 AMG cars, and without license plates. The fact is that according to Californian laws, you have 6 months to change your license plates. Jobs signed a contract with one car dealership for 6 months. A man in a courthouse begs his wife on his knees to withdraw her divorce petition. Chicago, 1948. A man stands on circus power performer Joan Rhodes, 1955. Turkish pub owners hired porters to carry overly drunk regulars home, 1960s, Istanbul. Marilyn Monroe and her husband Joe DiMaggio walk on the beach in Sarasota, Florida, March 1961. Photograph of a Bavarian pilot observer after landing, December 1916. Rarely, but it happened that reconnaissance flights were carried out at high altitudes. Both aviators suffered severe frostbite after they took off from an altitude of 5,000 meters. The child was discovered during the liquidation of the consequences of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant accident, 1986. Austro-Hungarian sailors used similar equipment to protect themselves from short-term exposure to fire, 1916. Mannequins in a department store do not look like people, but for some reason are dressed as Disney characters, 1937. If only I knew the history of the events in the picture. A photograph from the 1890s was called Man in a Raincoat Standing on a Tiled Floor. Of course, hearing that isn't as creepy as seeing what's captured in the picture. German hairdresser Karl Nessler invented this method of chemical perm, 1905. Edward Payson wore this mask while attacking his victims, also known as the Jersey Beast, 1957. Was there any sense, you ask? Doubtful, since this method of treating headaches with vibration therapy has not reached our days, the 1890s. Not everywhere do people celebrate the new year cheerfully and amicably. Not a cheerful example from the Kashenko Psychiatric Hospital, Moscow, 1988. A photograph from the wife's childhood, but none of her relatives, and she can tell what children are behind. Either another person, or a play of light and shadow. The photo of Rasputin with Empress Alexandra Fyodorovna. Her children and their nanny was originally black and white, 1908, but it was later colorized. Perhaps not everyone can appreciate how cleaning takes place in a church in Leipzig, Germany, 1920. A photo from the crash site of Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 in the Andes, 1972. There were 45 people on board. 33 survived the crash. A soldier of the Guard of Honor collapses as Queen Elizabeth II takes the parade, 1970. The last photo of Congressman Leo Ryan on November 18, 1978. He was killed in Guyana by members of the People's Temple cult, who opened fire on the runway as he attempted to fly to the United States. Qusay Hussein, Saddam Hussein's youngest son, fires a revolver into the air during a social event, 1980s. Juvenile convicts work in the fields. Prisons made money by renting them out to farmers to work. USA, 1903. This happened in the southern states of the USA during the Jim Crow laws on racial segregation. In 1975, the Denver Nuggets basketball team hired a witch to ruin their opponent's game. This happened after the Indiana Pacers used their talisman to cast a hex on the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets ended up losing both games. The witch didn't help them. Hilda John and her 6-year-old cat Thomas O'Malley, who weighed 19 kilograms. England, 1977. This photograph was taken in 1949, when the Queen of England was simply Princess Elizabeth. At the Women's Royal Army Corps in Shrewsbury, a young woman collapsed due to the intense heat. Demonstration of an underground economy class bomb shelter that could accommodate 8 to 12 people. USA, 1958. It was claimed that this bomb shelter could withstand the fall of a 20 megaton bomb equivalent to TNT. Train conductors pass breakfast tea from one carriage to another. Pakistan, 1983. European gypsies, who tamed bears, have long practiced an unusual method of treating a sore back They simply let the bear sit on the sufferer's back, and any pain in the person's spine would disappear. Romania, 1946. A watch from driver Genève, Switzerland, with a TV, radio and calculator, 1976. The battery had to be carried in the pocket. Annie Edson Taylor was a 63-year-old teacher and the first person to survive going over Niagara Falls in a barrel in 1901. William Howard Taft was one of the most obese presidents. Because of this, the White House had to have a separate huge bathroom that could fit as many as 4 people. 1909. Shoichi Yokoi, a Japanese soldier who hid in the jungles of Guam for 27 years to avoid capture, cries after returning to Japan in February 1972. Charles Bronson in 2001, Britain's most violent prisoner, who served 50 years and was in 120 correctional facilities. Frank Sheeran, nicknamed the Irishman, who worked as a hitman for the Italian-American mafia at a bar in the 1970s. The assassination of Inijiro Asanuma, chairman of the Japanese Socialist Party, by 17-year-old right-wing ultranationalist Otoya Yamaguchi. 1960. The photograph won the Pulitzer Prize. German engineer, inventor and founder of the Stihl Company, Andreas Stihl, invented the world's first chainsaw in 1926. It was electric and had 2 handles at both ends. It weighed 64 kilograms and required 2 people to saw it. A mushroom picker with his specially trained pig, which sniffs out truffle mushrooms growing underground. Dordogne, France, 1984. Photo by Bruno Barbie. Actress Judy Garland, one of Hollywood's most iconic actresses from the 1940s to 1960s, tries to comfort her crying daughter, Liza Minnelli, in 1947. Liza Minnelli, born 1946, followed in her mother's footsteps, becoming a famous actress, singer, and dancer. Testing a lunar suit. Inventor Allen Hazard tests a lunar suit in California's Mojave Desert before the Apollo mission in 1962. A hot potato vendor on the streets of Manhattan, 1892. These potatoes were called Mickeys and were not only eaten as a snack, but also used as hand warmers on cold winter days. Chrysler offered $2,000 to any Chicago auto show attendee who could make model and actress Nancy Del Caron laugh. 1976. 10-year-old George Davey was sentenced to a month's hard labor in Wandsworth Prison for stealing 2 rabbits. London, 1872. Sophia Loren enjoys the magnificent view from the balcony of her room at the Carlton Hotel. Cannes, France, 1955. Let's enjoy it too. On February 17, 1974, Private First Class Robert K. Preston hijacked a helicopter from Fort Meade, Maryland, and landed it on the south lawn of the White House. Mother and son in a photograph taken in Lisdoonvarna, Ireland. The son, a ballad singer, holds a printed poem in his hand. 1890. Future Hollywood movie star Mila Jovovich, ill name Milika Jovovich, with her parents. 1980s. Charles Godefroy flies through the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. The opening is 29.42 meters high and 14.62 meters wide. The wingspan of the plane is 9 meters. 1919. A piglet being treated for a skin condition by sunbathing. The People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, Ilford, UK. 1938. New York City subway passengers without newspapers during the city's newspaper strike. 1953. The Iron Man of the past in a diving suit. The suit was also called the Iron Man. It had electrical charging and pressure protection systems. New York, 1907. French farmers and their sheep protest at the Eiffel Tower against the construction of a military base on their land. 1972. Offices of the Central Social Institution in Prague. 1937. Czechoslovakia. It was the largest vertical document storage facility in the world. The desks of the archive employees were elevators that could go up, down, and left and right. American officers, Lieutenant Colonel Ben Thompson and Virgil Happy, with bundles of money in the vault of the Magdeburg Bank, where Reichsmarks worth $280 million were found. 1945.